Yes, hurry up.
Yum, 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 yum. May I please have some more yogurt?
Go on. I'm gonna turn into a tub of yogurt. But that's okay. Had cereal yesterday. Egg sandwich the day before. It's not gonna kill him. So we're doing yogurt today for breakfast for him, which is great. I don't want to deal with it right now. My ovaries feel like I can actually feel them and it hurts. Usually you don't really notice them unless they're causing problems. They're causing problems. So, I have to. It's probably not going to be anything that I planned it to be because. When does it ever? When do my videos ever survive any amount of planning I put through for them? Nope. Well, I mean, I used to do skits. Those were mostly the way that I planned them. When I had editing software and could edit out certain things, they were exactly what I planned for. But I haven't done those in years, not since I had that account, Dark Lady in the Moon. And yeah. Still can't get to it. It's still hacked. Still, probably just locked me out of it. It doesn't even look like anybody's doing anything with it. It just got hacked. Under this account, I'm not even trying to accumulate followers. It's just kind of a video journal. And the company's a written journal that, I write in sometimes but can't right now because I'm fixing my computer currently. And I can't write in it from my phone. I mean, I used to be able to, but the app was so invasive and my phone is too old for that shit now. Everything wants in your stuff now, like Tumblr, Facebook. The only one I even still have on my phone is Tumblr, and that's. Yeah. It's really just because I don't go on it on the computer at all. And, like, every day, it just kind of pisses me off a little more, and I'm just kind of waiting for it to crash and burn. The company that took over a lot of this stuff seems to have no problem with censorship, which doesn't surprise me because it's Verizon. I mean, that's the parent company to Oath. And Verizon has their privacy policy is appalling. Like, have you ever read that shit? I would not go back to Verizon because whenever I was younger, I actually had Verizon. I would not go back to them, like, ever. That privacy policy, just for people who use their phones, is horrifying. Absolutely not. So, I guess they've decided that they want to try and pull that shit on everybody, because Oath is pretty bad. They're just like, we're gonna collect everything you do and sell it to advertisers. Creepy. And then they're like leaving some ambiguous stuff. It's like there's a lot of people who'll read some of this stuff and they'll hear about it and they'll be like, no, that's against the law. They couldn't do that. Well, they are. And that's the thing. You cannot read these things and be like, oh, well, it can't really mean that. It does. It means exactly that. Okay, so, anyway. Yeah, you can't just remove meaning out of things just because you don't want it to mean that. I suggest you hit disagree and find another service, although it's pretty hard to find one that Oath doesn't own right now. Your choices are pretty much Oath and Google, or Microsoft. All of which are pretty bad options. Google is not just a privacy nightmare. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know, Microsoft is kind of ambiguous in that regard. Most of their stuff is too focused on collecting information, so it kind of sucks. But then basically, they want it to do what they want it to do, and they don't really have a lot of focus on what you want it to do as the consumer. So their stuff kind of sucks. And also, in order to get people to buy Windows 10, they basically had to get stores to only sell Windows 10. Yeah. That's not a monopoly. Yes, it is. The stores that used to even sell, like, Linux and all that. Because, you can get it free online, but there were stores that used to sell, like, kind of, I guess, a base version or something, where they would just sell it on USB sticks and pretty cheap-ish. Or they would sell USB sticks that were big enough for Linux if you wanted to do that. They don't do that anymore. Fry's Electronics only has Windows 10. It doesn't have anything else. Like, they used to, keep the discs, keep the older operating systems up. Especially, if you're trying to fix up an old computer that couldn't handle the new stuff. You could go and just get it. But you can't do that anymore, and everything except Windows 10 has been jacked up in price on stuff like Amazon, especially trying to order it from Microsoft. I know because I need a disc for Windows 7, although I think I'm just going to go for XP at this point. Chris, are you trying to get out of your schoolwork? Chris? At this point, you can wait for snack. Because you're going to eat yourself straight into snack. Go get the small plastic table and your yellow chair, and then go get your school books. Okay. We're going to do school in here today. Okay. Yeah, snack time is it's soon, so he'll be fine. So, yeah, snack time is soon. He eats a lot. But at this point, I think he's just trying to avoid his schoolwork. He has extra today because he pulled that yesterday. To a very big extent. It's all stuff that this is basically review for him. Chris doesn't like review. He doesn't like review or tests.
May I please come in?
Both of which are necessary. Come in!
I'm taking care of this with one hand.
Now go get your school books.
It's school day.
Kid's still in his PJs. Are you trying to carry them all at once?
Yes. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Look at old books.
Put them. Now the ones that you're finished with after you're done, you hand to me.
Okay.
No. Reading first?
Yep.
Science is not second. I pick the way that you do this stuff on purpose. Because it makes you do the stuff that takes more brain power first. So that it's over with. Also, I make you do the stuff that you hate first. But I mix it in with the thing that you like the most, math. So, do your reading. You got 5 pages. Remember, you got in some pretty big trouble yesterday.
This is only one.
You dragged out 1 page for 6 hours of the day. I ain't doing that again. Chris, is that door supposed to be wide open? Right. Geography is last. Science goes before that. Writing before that. Math before that. Reading before that. The only thing that's supposed to switch in, man, is writing and reading. Usually I have you do writing first. But since you already got your pencil in there, we're going to do reading first. Why are you still in your... Go get dressed. No, you wore those same PJs yesterday. You can't be wearing those today. You weren't even supposed to still wear those to bed. Go change. And it better not be PJs. Ah, life with Chris. Okay. If he doesn't have a reason and kind of think it makes sense, he'll fight you on it. Sometimes he'll fight you anyway, because he doesn't like it, but, you know, this is the order that if we put it in, he doesn't really have problems with it. You know, social studies, we've had to completely avant-garde that, because, you know, the book that we got is completely political. We got a book for social studies from the same people who did these. It's completely political. It teaches an idea, not facts. It also teaches, like, weird shit. Like, that all of the settlers went to church on Sunday. And I know because in the history book, there was, like, some BC stuff going on. That these books are done with Christian homeschoolers in mind. Not people who are trying to do it secular. What I mean is fact-based, not religion-based. I am religious. That doesn't mean I want everyone to be religious. I don't really care if everyone's religious or not. It's about what's best for the individual, not everybody believing the same thing. Then again, I'm not Christian, so... Alright.
Some aliens today.
I want him to know facts so that he can discern the BS from the real stuff.
Aliens today.
Which is ideally how it should work if certain people were that confident in their beliefs. Alright, kiddo. Come on, stop messing with the buttons and sit down.
I like buttoning my 2 buttons on the...
I swear that outfit makes you look like I dress you.
What? What this outfit makes me look like?
Come here. You got patterns from head to toe, kiddo.
Head to toe.
Go wipe your nose. You got a booger right. Ah!
What?
Don't touch it with your fingers. Gross. Go wash your hands. I can't believe I'm even still trying to do this. So, yeah, definitely ended up a completely different subject. Anyway, my doctor, I'm still kind of trying to figure out some things there. But also, like, I guess this is what I originally wanted to talk about. You know, I've been dealing with the bleeding for 6 going on 7 years now. It's really bad. Like, a couple of years in, it still only took like 1 progesterone a day for like a week. And then I was good for months. You know, like it wouldn't be so bad. And it was even livable, sort of. Still kind of expensive to deal with, but livable. Chris, did you wipe your nose first with tissue? And did you wash your hands with soap?
Yes.
Go blow your nose. Wipe your nose. Because I'm not dealing with this once you start. Sometimes he likes to leave it until he starts his schoolwork so that he can get up every couple minutes and be like, I need to blow my nose. I need to go potty. I need to do this. I need to do that. It all needs to be done before he sits down. Otherwise, we'll get nothing done. Anyway, some years back, it only took like 1 for like a week. And then I was okay for a while. This is like maximum dosage 2 a day. I mean, not 2 a day, but, 3 times a day.
My Batman says.
And I don't mean 3 times a day. I mean 2 of those pills 3 times a day. And then without that, it only takes like a day or 2 before I'm passing clots the size of my uterus. Which is where I'm at right now. And it very quickly goes to a point where my uterus expands and the clots get bigger. So, yeah. I'm bleeding. And it's too fast for like all of it to turn into just blood because the lining's just building and shedding, rather rapidly. Chris? Yes, I know, it talks about soccer. So read it. Can't lay back right now. There's a cat on my back. Well, more like he's kneading the bed right up against my butt. He's leaning up against my butt and kneading the bed a little bit. He's like, I'm here. I'm staying. Little butthead. He's a fur hole. Sometimes. Other times he's a sweetie, but also kind of a fur hole. This is the cat that meows at the door till we get up in the morning so that he can steal our spots on the bed.
Ooh.
Oh, and if his food starts running low at like 2 a.m., meow, meow, I'm dying. Hi, Lucky. Yeah. Did you get sprayed already today? Or did you get into something? Did you spray the cat?
Yes, I found Scorches and I didn't want Lucky to mess with Scorches.
What?
I didn't want Lucky to mess with Scorches.
Chris?
What?
You did not just laissez-faire spray the cat. You need to ask. You tell me and I will spray him. I will decide whether he needs sprayed. Sometimes he listens. He does not always need sprayed. it loses its effect if you just spray him.
Okay.
Do I just tell you to go to the corner, or do I tell you what you need to do first?
Tell me what I need to do first.
Well, training cats and dogs is the same way. They need to know what they did.
Oh.
Hey,
Some dogs don't like water.
stop picking at your pencil. There's barely any orangish yellow stuff left. Chris,
Yes, Mom?
you want to know why you're not allowed to use my pencils?
Why?
This is why. I guess at least he does. Hey, keep that out of your mouth. I guess at least he doesn't break them in half when he's mad anymore. But maybe my pencils had something to do with that, because he couldn't break mine in half, could you?
Mm-hmm.
And you got massive trouble for trying, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
We ran out of number 2 pencils at one point. So he was using some of my drawing pencils, which were thicker and had a thicker, denser lead than a number 2 pencil. He couldn't break them in half. But he got in massive trouble for trying.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't done it since. He did have some issues at school, though, before we switched to homeschool, where he broke some of the more of the teacher's pencils and had to pay out from his allowance, which pretty much was his allowance, when the teacher told me how many pencils he'd gone through.
How much did I come through? I know I did a lot.
It's not funny. It's nothing to be proud of. You don't destroy other people's things. The teacher, Chris, look at me. The school supplied a lot of those pencils, but the teacher did too. So you weren't just breaking things that, school funding put in for. You were breaking things that your teacher had paid for. And your teachers don't make a lot of money.
Why?
They don't. Because the funding, the schools don't want to pay them what they should pay them. So teachers probably make even less than your dad. And I know you have listened at your door and listened to me and your dad talk about the budget sometimes. So you know that sometimes we make sacrifices. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine somebody doing that. Being a teacher and then still finding it in there, still figuring out and making sacrifices so that they can buy extra pencils and stuff for their class.
Mm-hmm.
And you were breaking them like it didn't matter. Do we go around buying pencils all the time?
No, ma'am.
Or do I tell you, you better take care of those pencils? You've seen the prices of pencils, haven't you? You want to buy your own pencils? Chris?
Yes?
You're not picking them out.
No, why?
Because I already told you, no mechanical pencils. You abused my mechanical pencils.
What happens if I'm like 18? When I want to pick out my pencils?
Chris?
What?
Depending on your behavior, kiddo. I'll tell you what. When you're an adult and you move out and have your own job and pay for your own stuff, you can pick your own stuff. Until then, you have to show me and your dad that you're not destroying things to pick your own stuff. Because we're not going to buy, let's say, a Paw Patrol pencil if you're going to do that to it.
But do they even make Paw Patrol pencils?
Yes, they do. They also make superhero pencils. You know they do.
I know.
You picked out the sparkly pencils for your class. They got sparkly and multicolored whenever we had to replace them. But he had to pay out of his allowance. They weren't expensive pencils. We got them from the dollar store.
Dollar Tree.
But Chris gets $5 a week, and there was like 6 packages that needed to be bought. Like 5 or 6. To replace the amount of pencils that he had broken. Chris. This is still a yesterday assignment. This does not count towards your assignments for today. So you best do it. He'd already be done with it if he wasn't arguing with me about what was right and wrong in it. The answers. Most of it's all filled in. It's just he didn't read it and he just picked answers. Which is not okay. Alright, let me see. One is right. Two, you haven't picked an answer yet. This time. You're going to have to read through it and figure out which sentence shares the author's opinion. You got to find opinion, subjective sentences, not objective, not just facts. And it can't be things that the person it's about says. It has to be something that the author says that he didn't say. So it won't say like that Beckham, like such and such. It'll be something that, like cheese. I don't know. It'll have to be something that's just the author's opinion, that reflects their opinion. It has to be a subjective statement. So, which statement shows a connection to the text? I'll accept any of these. But these two in particular. Because you don't really have problems with Hansel and Gretel. And playing at the beach is fun, so these two. But you picked this one, that's fine.
I liked reading Hansel and Gretel.
Shh. Okay. A. 4 is right. What's the most important? Five is wrong.
Okay.
That's trying to summarize his life, and you're saying that he went from rags to riches. I don't really think he did. Okay, fine. But sometimes people try to make that something it's not. Christopher, pay attention to me, not the cat. Sometimes rich people write this stuff and they don't really understand. Like, there was actually a news story about people that have kitchens our size, and that's bigger than what we used to have. And they were all horrified that the kitchens were so small. And oh my god, poor people. Rich people don't connect with reality the same way we do. So sometimes they'll see someone who's middle class as rags to riches whenever they become successful in something like that. It's not really a thing, and I mean, that's kind of what we are. We're kind of lower to lower class. But so yeah, we're barely in middle class. But we're in there. And they'd see that as rags to riches. But are you wearing rags, or are you wearing clothes that were bought at a store?
Clothes bought at a store.
Okay, you got food?
Mm-hmm.
Got electricity?
Yeah.
You turn on the lights? You got water?
Yeah.
Do we ever go without these things?
No.
Okay. It's not really rags to riches, is it?
Mm-hmm.
So, they don't even understand what that means in its basest form. I've been on the streets, kiddo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I told you before. Sometimes you have to take some things with a grain of salt in some of these. Because sometimes the author doesn't understand the concept that they're using. On the streets, that's rags. That's rags. Unless you're, I guess, also kind of being taken care of by people. I've seen that. Like where some rich girl just doesn't have a place to stay. Some rich guy and they just want people to take care of them and all that. They end up couch surfing. I've seen that. But I've also slept under a bridge. So, I didn't have that. My family wasn't there. No, providing that you never end up on drugs or anything.
Drugs?
Yeah.
It's okay to say no to drugs.
Oh yeah, you better say no to drugs. You will always have a home to come back to as long as we do. Okay? But also, don't you take advantage of that. Always pull your weight there. Because unlike rich people, we don't got it to pull it for you whenever, you want to start, like, getting girlfriends and having babies. You gotta get your own job to support that. Alright.
Hey, Tim.
So I want you to take another look at 5 and 2 and 6.
Okay.
Because if it's talking about different teams, how many teams does it mention in here? How many professional soccer teams are mentioned? Mm-hmm. Hold on. One is mentioned here, and there's one mentioned here. So, between... What's this one?
The second.
What's this? Manchester.
Manchester and another team.
Okay. And this one?
Soccer players. Wait. Los Angeles Galaxy team.
Mm-hmm. How many are mentioned in this?
2.
So why do you keep on picking one?
Yum.
See, that's not hard.
2 teams.
This is important, especially later on in life. Sometimes people rely, on lying to you with the truth. You have to be able to find different things in the text. You have to know what's objective and what's not objective. You have to be able to cross-reference it. Look at me. If someone says facts that don't mean it's good or bad, but their opinion is that it's good or bad, how do you know what the facts say if you can't identify the difference between opinion and fact? Between the subjective and objective statements. I'll give you a hint.
What?
You have to know. And you have to be able to do that. Otherwise you won't know. And if you don't know, then how can you cross-reference it? Well, you can't.
I can't.
No, because you'll start trying to cross-reference the opinion instead. It's really easy to get caught up in that. And there'll be a bunch of other people sharing their opinion no matter what. And they'll support that opinion with their opinion. That it's basically arguing feelings instead of fact. And you want to look at facts before feelings. Because that's how you make sure. Okay? That's how you make sure.
Mama, when I was in 2nd grade, we were saying how we were feeling and why.
Okay? You listening? Sometimes authors will write things in a way they want you to feel something about. Now, in a story, this is good. This is good storytelling. To make you feel a certain way about a character or something going on, to put you in their shoes. But whenever it comes to news and article writing, this is bad. Because you're supposed to be objective and give the facts. You can give your opinion as long as you're like, but that's my opinion, and a lot of people have this opinion too. It's not good practice. But there is a way to do it that doesn't completely frame it a certain way. But a lot of people, they frame articles a certain way. So even though there's facts in them, it's very easy to ignore those facts. And it can be very manipulative. They want you to read it and feel one way. But what you need to do is look at the facts. And not, Chris, they're basically telling you what to feel. You need to listen to me. Nobody should tell you what to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in an article, Chris, they want to control what you feel a lot of times. So you read it, you identify the subjective stuff in it. And then you pick out the facts. And then you cross-reference them and make sure that they're true. And then you know what you do?
What?
You decide what your opinion is on it. How you feel about it without being told. That's why it's necessary for you to learn this stuff. The stuff that you hate
Needs to be done.
Yeah. Because do you want to be easily manipulated? Do you want to be prone to manipulation like those articles?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
You want to be told what to feel, or do you want to have the skills necessary to find the facts so that you can decide for yourself?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, ma'am.
Chris?
What?
You gotta tell me yes. What are you saying yes to?
Not wanting to get told what to how to feel.
Okay? See, they won't tell you they're telling you how to feel. But it's written in such a way that it's very manipulative. And it'll leave out some facts. So in cross-referencing the things that aren't subjective, sometimes you'll find that they're straight up lying about something. But they made it up. Or sometimes you'll find that it's partially true, and there's actually a lot more to it that makes it different than the way that they put it down on paper. People manipulate like that, some people. Don't be that type of person, but do be someone who knows what you need to not to be manipulated by them. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
And you know what else it'll do?
What?
If one day you want to pick a religion and all that, it'll be a lot harder to manipulate you if you remember that, even in the face of religion. Because there are people who are told, because religion, it's a pastor, it's a religious leader, so they must be a better person than us. They must be believed automatically over somebody else. So if a pastor or a Catholic priest hurt somebody, the congregation often immediately believes the pastor or the priest. Often people don't even question the pastor.
Why?
I grew up in it, so I can tell you it's because you're basically taught that they will own up to it if it's done, basically. They're supposed to be better. They're supposed to be held to a higher standard. But if you don't question them, you can't help hold them to that standard. And pastors don't like it whenever you ask questions, whenever you question them. A lot of them don't. Very few do. And those are the ones that won't get accepted by, like, the Southern Baptist Convention and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Organized religion on a large scale it can get pretty bad. It's why your dad won't go to church. He doesn't want them to try and force him to convert me and you. He wants you to grow up and know who you are and how to ask questions first.
That's good.
And how to figure out what questions that you want to ask. Because growing up in the church, you don't learn those things. You learn how to obey without question. Here's the thing. As long as you do it respectfully, I want you to question me. Not whenever I'm sending you to the corner, because you know exactly why you're going to the corner. Because I tell you beforehand to stop that, don't I? Mm-hmm. But when I'm doing something, or I want you to do something, I want you to ask why. The church don't want you to ask why. I actually got in a lot of trouble asking why as a kid. Yeah. The pastor was like, just do it. Basically, they'll tell you that if you believe, that you won't need to ask. It's manipulation. It's very deep emotional manipulation, especially to a child. So, your dad doesn't want to expose you to that. He wants you to know who you are so that you can decide what you believe. And whatever you believe, you'll believe stronger for it. Because you'll know the difference in yourself. You'll be an established person. Mm-hmm. Instead of just not knowing any different. So thinking that you have to believe this thing. Some people lash out because they only ever knew this thing. And whenever they run into things that prove that it's different, they'll lash out. It's like they're not even connected to reality anymore. There are people who have screamed at me that because I'm pagan, I eat babies.
What?
Do I eat babies?
No, you do not.
Thank you. But see, there are people who aren't as smart as you because they let that stuff blind them. See, all someone has to do is be in a religious point of power and tell them these things. And they won't ask questions. They'll just believe it. We don't ever want you to be like that with anything. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
You ask questions. Because the lies that people will believe are as bad as people believing that because I'm pagan, I eat babies.
Do you actually pagan?
Yes, I'm one of 100. I'm one of over 150 pagan religions that get slapped into one. All pagan means is that I'm not Christian, Muslim, or Jewish. And I have a religion, so I'm not non-religious or atheist. Your dad is Christian. Your Uncle Tim over there,
Uncle Tim?
mm-hmm, he is atheist.
Atheist?
Mm-hmm. And Jen is another tradition of the same pagan religion. Hers is a mix. She had an aunt that was in the old traditions, but she apprenticed and learned more under the reconstructed stuff. I've learned mostly under the older stuff, but I'm aware of some of the things that are taught to the reconstructed stuff.
I just learned today that Tim is my aunt.
What?
Uncle.
Uncle? That's more of an honorary title.
I just learned today.
Well, he's Chris. Come here. I've slipped up and called him that to you before. Come here. It's an honorary title. Because he's stuck by your dad for so long, even whenever other people haven't. And maybe also because me and him haven't killed each other.
Yeah.
And he at least has the decency not to argue in front of you whenever me and him disagree. We just sort of text each other angrily. Okay?
The time when voices went up.
Went up, but we didn't scream at each other.